Hey, Keisha here from Let's Talk, where we expose unhealthy thoughts and replace them with healthy ones. So I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. As you come in, make sure you hit the subscribe button and share. Also, if you listen on another platform, make sure you're going over to YouTube at Keisha Taylor. That's Kisha, and subscribe. And as you know, I always ask about the subscribe because my channel's not monetized, but what it is we know the algorithms that when you subscribe or you like or you share, YouTube or any platform, just like any platform you might be watching this on, that determines whether it's, shared out to more people or not. So that's why I want you to subscribe and share. Not to mention, I feel like the information that I share is something that can benefit others. So even if it's not you as a listener, someone may benefit from what I'm sharing. So today, what was kind of on my mind, and I talk about, life experiences, things that I've experienced in the past, things that I may be experiencing at the time that I'm actually making the message. But there was something recent that came up that I was sharing with someone, and it was they had read my book, and in reading my book, you learn a lot about me, some of the, you know, situations that I might have had in my life that I had to overcome, as the book is titled, Overcoming the Hand That You Were Dealt. So things that I was able to overcome and create success from, things that I was able to overcome and learn lessons from. And those are things that I always like to share. We were talking about relationships specifically, and I've had my fair share of relationships that were not healthy or relationships that were abusive. And one of the things that I acknowledged is that I have in the past in relationships have been chosen, and I did not choose. And I know that probably sounds strange because, lots of times, and this is what the comment that was made too, as women, you guys you know, when you choose someone, or who you're going to get with, or And I said, yeah, I believe that that's true to a degree. However, and several women may relate to what I'm saying, that you have your standards, you have your goals in relationships, you have what it is that you want in a relationship. However, when you are chosen, and I'm not opposed to the man that findeth a wife findeth a good thing, right? Which means the man is the one finding. So I'm not opposed to that. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that you have your standards, you have your goals, you have what you have set out for your relationship expectation, but then you are chosen by someone, and in their choosing, they're choosing what they want, what they see about you that benefits them, not necessarily what you might need in a relationship. And I'm not necessarily saying that that's a bad thing, but what I do find, and I hear this from lots of women, that they see a few of the things in the person that has chosen them, and then they see the potential of where the relationship can go, as opposed to what is actually before them. And I'm guilty of that too. So within a relationship, I might have these different things that I want, ambitious, go getter, have integrity, loyal, faithful, honest, a good communicator, someone who is compassionate and understanding, and all of those things, right? Someone who manages their money, someone who maintains their life, their health, someone who doesn't have an ego issue. They have a healthy ego. They're strong in their own right. They're not intimidated by a strong woman, that together they can accomplish goals. So you have this laundry list, and I'm just kind of naming a few off the top of my head, that lots of women have. And what ends up happening is there's certain things that you see that person is bringing forward that you like, and then you dumb down your standards to kind of accommodate where that person is, right? To say, I accept you as you are. However, what I've learned over the years is that you want to choose and not be chosen. And the reason why is because there's main anchor things that should be non-negotiable in relationships. Those main anchor things are the subset for everything else that that person brings to the table. So it has to be foundational in certain regard to things that are non-negotiable for you. Foundational in these are the things that's going to not only satisfy me now, but also are going to satisfy me for where I am going. And I'm going to repeat that. That they are bringing to the table things that are satisfying me now, as well as things that are going to satisfy where I am going. And I think that that is the trip up, that happens. Because as women, of course, we are strong, we are nurturers, we are tolerant, we are understanding, we are compassionate, right? So we kind of are satisfied with what we see now, even with some things that we're not necessarily satisfied with that we feel are tolerable, right? But then we don't look out into the future to the things that we know that we're going to need a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, based on where we see ourselves 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. We don't measure that man, so to speak, from that regard. So when we see things in the present that we feel are subpar, right? They're average. We say, oh, well, he has some ambition, you know what I mean? So he's a good communicator, right now. He seems to be compassionate, right now. But then, as we go out into the future and we say, well, this is where I want to be 5 years from now. This is the life that I want to have 5 years from now. Is he consistent enough over a long enough period of time that I could see him out in the future also meeting where I am going to be at that time? Or am I going to arrive there and he is not going to be pacing with me? And you can see some of those things within a person's personality, within a person's character. You can see those things. I have found in my own relationships, right, that in the beginning, the person was displaying ambition and, even speaking about things out into the future. And of course, that was great. That was something, that was a connection point. But then in their operating actions daily, you kind of see a disconnect. So in other words, their mouth is not matching their lifestyle, so to speak, which should be a red flag. However, because it's tolerable in the moment and it's not based in anything major, you kind of discount it, right? You kind of discount it. Also, there's certain choices that you might make morally that person is kind of like, oh yeah, I can see, why you, made that decision. And they're not totally in agreement with it, but you're having a conversation about it and they kind of say, oh, I can see that. That is a red flag. However, because it's very mild, you don't really see it as any big deal, right? But that tells you the way that person processes information, the way that person makes decisions, the character by which that person draws from for the things that they do in their life. And if those things are not lining up with your lifestyle and where you're going, then you have to think twice. So I say, don't be chosen, be the chooser, meaning you are going full throttle on certain anchor things from hello. That you are high intensity on the things that you know that this person must have for where you are going. So using myself as an example, I have, or I am, better ways to say it, right? I am kind of assessing prior relationships, and that's where this conversation came from. Assessing prior relationships and thinking about, from where I am right now, where am I expecting to be 5 years from now? What life am I expecting to have 5 years from now? And then I'm saying, okay, so what kind of man would I need to have in my life in order to accommodate where I'm going to be 5 years from now? The way that I used to think is, okay, as long as you're accommodating where I am right now, we can grow together to arrive at the destination that I'm going. Although, I mean, I have in my mind's eye where I'm planning to be in 5 years, but it's just the assumption that we're going to go there together. And I share this only because, I mean, if you grab a copy of the book, Overcoming the Hand You Were Dealt, you will see there were different dynamics in different relationships, that there were red flags in those relationships that I should have taken on as a stronger stop sign, basically. Pause, proceed with caution, exit, like right now, this is your exit, you're about to pass your exit, get off, that I kind of bypassed, right? Given the benefit of the doubt that we're gonna, kind of go the distance together. And of course, hindsight is 2020. And in evaluating each of those relationships, you realize certain things that you did during that time that you would definitely do differently now. And one of the things that I say is, in the right now, and some of you women may relate to this, based on your experiences, you're in a different headspace, right? Based on your life up to this point, you are in a headspace that's different than you were some years ago. So when you are evaluating and assessing relationships now, are you still thinking, as long as he's accommodating where I am right now? Or are you thinking, is he going to be able to accommodate where I am going, where I'm going to be 5 years from now? So 5 years from now, what would I, be, looking at as far as a relationship? And a lot of this is coming up because as we're going through COVID, lots of relationships are strained right now. Lots of people are realizing that they are not compatible with their mate. Lots of people are talking about, divorce, or, how much, I want to go back to work because I'm stuck home with this person that I don't want to be stuck home with. And that's tragic, right? Because when you chose that person, or the life that you've been living with that person has already been below bar. You've just been tolerating one another. And because you have all of these other distractions, like, your job or whatever it is that you're doing, you have these other distractions. So with those other distractions, you basically don't spend time with each other, right? You don't really talk and see that we're still on the same page, So those are some of the things that made me think about this, to say, where would that be? I mean, you want a person that, if I was locked in with you, and you can add this to your list for those of you that, are going to be starting to, date again, or you're starting a new relationship or whatever. If I was locked in with this person for, months at a time, is this a person that I can just be with and we can just chill together and I enjoy their company, even if we're not even saying anything to each other? That I can enjoy having a conversation with this person for hours and hours and hours, not in the newness of the relationship, but in general, after we've known so much about each other, are we actually friends? Do we actually have a good, healthy conversation? Do we exchange ideas with one another? right? Are we enjoying each other's company to just be able to laugh with one another like you would do with your friend, your best friend, that you can spend time with? Or do you find yourself now saying, I've spent time with you for a couple of days and I need a break? You know what I mean? I need a break. Those are things that you pay attention to. And especially now with all of the crazy that's going on, you don't want to be looking out 5 years from now saying I wasted 5 years of my life in this relationship with someone that I'm not really compatible with, or I am toting the line, like I'm carrying this person along with me. I'm constantly having to inject in them that get up and go, let's make this happen type of thing, that I'm constantly having to feed them every thought that they have. I'm constantly having to play coach and counsel, you know what I mean, for your thought process, for the way that you think that is not conducive to you or me or us in this scenario, because you are attached to that person. So you know how they say, when you move, I move, just like that. Same thing when you're in a relationship. When they move, you move, right? They are attached to you. So the choices that they make are directly connected to you. The lifestyle that they live is directly connected to you, good or bad. So in making these choices, in relationships, for me, it was like going back in my past and reflecting, I have been chosen. So there was a need that I was meeting for you, right? And I'm not even talking about just like, in the sexual space, right? I'm saying in general, you liked or admired me because you felt that I was smart. You liked or admired me because you felt that I was kind or innocent or giving or caring. You admired me because you felt that I had integrity and I was honest. Those type of things, that I made good choices and decisions, based on whatever, finances or whatever, just the quality of how I live my life every day, right? How I treat other people. So you admired those things, and those things were a benefit to you. But on the same accord, the same way that you did that, I should also be doing that as well, to preserve my gift, so to speak, right? The gift of who I am. I should be preserving that. And I'm saying but of course, I mean, if you can relate to what I'm saying, you have value for yourself. So in preserving your treasure of who you are, your makeup, your essence of who you are, in preserving that, you have to make sure that the person that you are allowing to come into that personal space is someone that honors and respects that treasure. Someone who handles it like a treasure. And if they are not capable of doing that, right? Because I'm not necessarily saying everyone is bad and they're horrible and they just take advantage. Some people are just not capable of handling your treasure. And if they're not, then you need to kind of take a pass on that, because you shouldn't have to dumb down or accept less than what it is that the standard of your treasure is. It needs to be preserved. Not only that, it needs to be honored, right? It needs to be respected. It needs to be nurtured. It needs to be upheld at a high level throughout the duration, right? Not just for the first 6 months, throughout the duration of the relationship. That person has to see that from that perspective, just as you see them from that perspective of their treasure as well. But I find that in relationships, lots of times, as women, we kind of accept as they are, try to accommodate for, right? Whatever they're lacking, I'm going to be it. You know what I mean? Because they have all of these other good traits. So I'm going to be this thing. Meanwhile, you are sacrificing your own treasure in that process. And now you are going without any kind of benefit to yourself for your own growth long-termly. So I said a lot. I know I said a lot. But I am specifically, talking to women right now who can reflect back or are willing to reflect back on relationships that they've had. I also encourage you to grab a copy of my book, which just kind of, talks about being a woman. And there's some sections in there that's for men as well too. The impact and the power and the influence that you have on our decision making as a woman, the power and impact that you have on our emotions and our mindset, our mental state of mind, either enhancing us or basically snuffing out our treasure, and the role that you play in that. So as men, absolutely, you can read the book too. But for women, in reading the book, there's lots, pertaining to women and the things that we go through and the things that we think about that we don't necessarily share. And definitely, relationship examples are in there, the good and the bad parts of it. And I give you kind of a visual of my mindset at the time that I was going through different things in my life in these relationships that brought me to the point of what I'm saying, that you've been chosen and you need to choose. So I share that with you in love to say, in thinking about your next relationship or the new relationship that you're in, I'm not by any means telling anyone if you've been in a long-standing relationship, this is like a aha, and now you should end the relationship. No, I'm saying that you are starting to date, you're thinking about dating, or you're newly in a relationship. Things to, kind of pay attention to, not just where you are, but where you are going. Where you see yourself out into the future, can this man accommodate that place? And if he can, awesome, you build together. If you already are seeing red flags that he cannot accommodate that, do not believe for a second that you can build him to get to that place, because in your building to get him to that place, you are now neglecting your own treasure. And your treasure is valuable and need to be protected first by you, then be shared with others and be honored by them. But the protection space comes from you first. So ask yourself today, are you being chosen or are you choosing? And in your choosing, do you have a full understanding of what it is that accommodates you, what it is that you need in your life, and what it is that's going to go the distance with you for where you are planning on going? So be blessed. I just wanted to share that. That's what was on my heart today. Absolutely grab a copy of my book, Overcoming the Hand You Were Dealt, which you can get at mentalshiftmastery.com. You can also get it at Barnes & Noble's, Amazon, any place where books are sold. You can grab a copy of that book. I believe that it will positively impact your life, as it exposes lots of things, and it shows also an overcoming process that allowed me to be proud of who I am today, just based on living through that. So be blessed. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will speak to you next time on Let's Talk.